What is up, guys? It is the fellas from 3 and Out. We are back here with Brandon, Noah, and myself. Today, going to be having a little chat about rivalries. Have they lost their edge? We're going to talk about that here in a second. But fellas, how are we doing?
Great.
Doing great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah, man.
nice.
Any day we're talking ball is a great day.
God,
Damn
I love
right.
that. God, I love that. So anyway, before we get into it, just want... cheers, brother. Brandon, you're a bitch.
I am. I didn't get the memo. We get one in trouble.
Did you get the memo? You know, we're really putting the new cover sheet on all the TPS reports.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
You get the memo. We're bringing
Office
beers to the
space.
recordings now.
We're bringing beers to company meetings now. But no, anyway. So, first off, before we even jump into anything, just want to say how appreciative we are of the recent success that we've had here lately. The subs have kind of taken off by our standards. We cracked the 400 mark. Thank y'all. Thank you very much. I think as of time of recording, we're chilling at 407. 500 is within our sights. We are rocking and rolling. Very, very excited about this, the rest of this offseason and then rolling into the season has in store for us. With that being said, if you're new to the channel, you know, just trying to grow the community one step at a time. So if you like what you see, let us know down in the comments. Drop a like. Even feel free to drop a sub. We greatly appreciate it. I don't know what we're going to do. 500's been like our lofty goal for a while, so I'm sure we'll have some celebration that we can incorporate into the channel. With that being said, going back to rivalry games. So I saw a TikTok earlier today, came across my desk. It was talking about how Ohio State and Michigan is the best rivalry in all of sports. And that was just as an example of that. Back in 1968, that was further cemented during the 10 years war that the two programs were going through at that point. Woody Hayes, then Ohio State head coach, was up by multiple touchdowns. Let me get the score here. So the score at the end of the game was 50-14, and they then decided. No, the final score was 50-14. So they scored a late interception to go up 48-14, and then they decided to go for two. And when Woody was asked post game, what the hell, like what thoughts were going into that, his response was simply, because I couldn't go for three. If that doesn't scream rivalry and a big old fuck you to the guys on the other side of the sidelines, I don't know what does. I don't know, recent history that reminds me of the Dogs celebrating in the end zone in Jacksonville. I don't know. I just think we've lost our edge. What's y'all's guys' thoughts on that?
Because I couldn't go for three.
Yeah.
If that happened today, I'm putting that on a T-shirt and I'm wearing that everywhere because it's a pretty good slogan. I like that quite a bit.
Yeah. Man would have
About-
thrived in the XFL.
That's true. That's true. All about the branding.
That's right.
But about the rivalries, I think you're onto something there. I mean, we were talking about it a couple weeks ago when we were last together. You know, Georgia and Florida, specifically Florida, running up the score on Georgia in Jacksonville, dropping 50, becoming the first team to ever score 50 in Athens. Still the only team to ever do it, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, that running it up, you don't really see that much anymore. And honestly, you know, now, well, it might be because my team's good, but I want to bring it back just because, like, when you're winning, you should really like try to, you know, push your enemy's like nose into it. But
Further, yeah.
yeah, I think you're onto something there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I was talking to, you know, for anyone who cares, another one of our friends by the name of Eric. And he made the claim that Mark Richt single-handedly drove Georgia athletic department into the ground. Just like a decade of domination.
I think that inadvertently helped him.
Yeah.
Helped Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got
You,
Paul
you
Johnson
beat him
fired.
so much consistently. You
Yeah.
get Paul Johnson fired. You're not running the triple option. You actually have a semblance of an offense.
Yeah.
Look at them now. They're
Yeah,
bowl
I
eligible.
mean, they are trending in the right direction now. I think he was.
But then, yes.
Yeah, at the time,
what-
like just absolutely
for a decade.
insolvency as a program. But I don't know. Again, I think it's a little easier to say while your team is like maybe not on top, but we're damn near close to the top of the college football world. And just looking back on it and how just painful it was to watch Florida be so good for so long, and then Auburn have their success, and then if you go back to the 90s, just look at Tennessee and how good they were. I don't think they gave a damn about winning with class. I mean, I think it's kind of Nick Saban's fault, honestly. Like, it's all business. We're gonna go out there.
Yeah.
We're just gonna beat the shit out of you, and then when the fourth quarter comes around, we're gonna call 9 straight run plays and take 8 minutes off the clock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
Which-
mean,
Yeah.
in today's day and age with social media and cameras everywhere and all these different perspectives, I think it's skewed it a little more towards being a bit more professional, I think.
Mhm.
I mean, I do think that true hatred and rivalries does still exist. Go listen to the Kirby Smart halftime speech in Jacksonville a couple of years ago. That man hates Florida. He really does. And
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't really manifest on the field as much as it does, or it used to. Because, I mean, at that point, you're beating them that bad. You're putting in your 2s and your 3s in the fourth quarter.
Mhm.
And you're not necessarily running up the score. You're playing the long game, longevity. You don't want to get anybody hurt, at least nowadays.
Yeah. And no, I think I agree with that. That's fair. You don't want to leave your ones in the whole game during a blowout, because God forbid, you go for a 50 burger and Carson Beck just gets speared in the back of the neck, and he's done for the rest of the season. But I think
man.
if you have the depth that your Georgias, your Ohio States, your Alabamas, Texases have at this point, I think if you can go out there and score with your 2s, I don't think you change the game plan at all. In
Yeah.
this society where I hope that people actually hate their rivals, I think if you can score with your 2s, go fucking score with your 2s. Let Gunnar Stockton go out there and throw for 300 in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter. I mean,
Yeah, it's good reps. Good
Yeah.
looks for those guys. I mean,
absolutely.
there's
Like-
no reason to run it, the entire fourth quarter, shoot
Yeah.
clock mode,
Yep.
kind of deal.
Yeah, like I get it if you're winning by like 2 scores and you want to chew the clock, because 2 scores in today's game is practically nothing. I mean, you're 1 pick away from the momentum shifting, and you end up losing a game that you should have won. But if you're up by if it's 35-7, put your 2s in and say, hey, go score. Those are just my thoughts. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's also led to me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a pretty new Georgia fan. Up until I got accepted, I was an Alabama fan, and it was all business, right? Like I said with Nick Saban. But now, I hate Florida. But when people ask me which rival do I hate the most, I gotta think about it. It should definitely be Florida. But as far as
It varies.
it
It
does
varies.
vary. It does vary because, like I said, Florida's had some success recently. Auburn's had some success recently, and Tennessee is on the come up. I hate them too. They're just some knuckle dragging, puke in a pumpkin orange wearing garbage men. But I don't really truly hate Tennessee. I don't really truly hate Auburn. And I don't really truly hate Florida. Hate. I mean, I do hate going to Nashville, or not Nashville, Jacksonville, and having to mingle with those people.
It's fair.
R.I.P. to Brandon.
Easy it is. No, we
sorry,
good.
sorry about it, Pam.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Y'all let me know if I'm just off one right now, or if the
I think-
corona's talking, or what. I don't know.
I think a big part of it is lacking some of those big personalities on the sidelines, like Woody Hayes or like Steve Spurrier, who really stoke the flames, that are like
Yeah.
true D1
Yeah.
first class instigators,
Yeah.
and like just stir the pot
Just a
because
hater.
they can.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of lacking in that, and especially from our Georgia fan perspective. I mean, if you think of the coaches from our, because I'd love to hear the other side of this from Florida fans, Tennessee fans, Auburn fans, because you think about, where they are as programs right now and their personalities on the sidelines. You have what, Hugh Freeze, Billy Napier, Josh
Yeah.
Heupel. I mean, like, I don't know, man. Those guys aren't going out of the way to start anything. Maybe some of the players every now and again.
Yeah.
It gets chippy, it's rivalries, but like at its core,
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
dwindled.
I mean, I think the closest thing that we've had to that in our lifetime is George Pickens throwing a Georgia Tech DB into a brick wall.
But that's the player.
But that's George Pickens. Yeah,
That's the
George
player,
Pickens.
yeah.
That's one guy. I think George Pickens. I think like the rest of the country now realizes that man stands on business. And if he didn't have like the injuries and the suspensions, like I think he would have been able to actually cement himself as one of the greatest trash talkers in the history of Georgia football. But yeah, that's the player. I'm not saying like Kirby needs to go out and have a press conference, be like, you know what, fuck Florida, fuck Auburn, fuck Tennessee, fuck 'em.
That shit would fire me up, though. That would
It
fire me.
would.
That would fire me the hell up. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. But again, I don't know. I think he's got a little bit of Saban in him, where it is, at least in front of the media, it's business.
Yeah.
And you don't mix business and personal. Now, behind closed doors in the locker room, I have no idea what he's saying. The leaks I've heard, that we've all heard, seem to have that fire and that passion. Because
I think-
he's an alumni, he played there, he hates these teams, but go ahead.
Yeah. I think it's partially, and one of y'all might have alluded to this, the professionalism, the professionalization of the sport as a whole. Back in the 90s, 80s, and we didn't have like the massive TV deals, the NIL, all this stuff, like all the attention that's on college football, especially nowadays. They didn't have back then, so they could get away with shit like, oh, I want to hang 50 in Athens, I want to go for 2 when we're up 48. Like, you can get away with that a lot more, but now a little less so. There's a lot more scrutiny that we've opened ourselves up to because of how much the sport has progressed.
That's true. Yeah, and I think Brandon said it earlier, there are just cameras everywhere, so
Yeah.
you don't really want to say the wrong thing there. I guess that
Yeah.
makes sense.
And in today's day and age with NIL and everything, you don't want to make a wrong move. I mean, moves like that where it's like, I couldn't go for 3, they fire up some people. It's polarizing. And I feel like in today's college football world, you don't really want to be polarizing. You want to be stable, just with everything, all the components going on. I mean, it's a completely different sport these days. It's ever evolving. And
And you also don't want to I don't know. You also don't want to give the opposition something to rally around.
Bulletin board material.
Exactly. Because let's just say hypothetically we go into Jacksonville and we hang half 100 on them and we decide to go for 2. If Billy Napier still has a job after that, or whoever the next guy is, they can come in and say, you know what? Fuck these guys. They do not respect you. We're going to go out there, we're going to out-recruit, we're going to outplay, we're going to out-practice. We're going to come back, we're going to hang 50 on them next year. So I guess that could give them a rally cry on the other side of things. So I guess that makes sense. It's better to kind of stay even. But I don't know. That just kind of rubbed me the wrong way because I've always been kind of not jealous, but I think it's hard to fight the claim that Ohio State Michigan is one of the better rivalries in college sports. I think the only thing that we have down here in the South that could challenge it would be the Iron Bowl, just with how competitive it's been year in and year out. Because let's be honest, Georgia Auburn has been pretty one-sided for the past 7 years. Georgia, Florida,
Yeah.
outside of the COVID year, has also been pretty one-sided. Tennessee, Bama has been extraordinarily one-sided outside of the Hyatt year. But, Michigan, Ohio State has always been pretty competitive.
Yeah. I
Hot
think the big
take.
thing about. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, real quick. Hot take. I think Alabama LSU is going to rise up to challenge the game
I
here in the
like
next
I
10
hope so.
years.
I
I
love it
like
when that
that.
game is good.
Dude,
When that, yeah, we get a better
Yeah, that
product
game
as a
is
result when
like
that game's
good.
good. Yep.
Yeah.
You were saying, Brandon? Sorry.
I was just saying, what impresses me most about the game is the consistency of both of the teams in it. Because a lot of the rivalries with Georgia, it's like teams have kind of been here and there and have had ups and downs. But ever since, call it the 90s or the 80s, I mean, Michigan and Ohio State have been pretty steady. They've had some slight deviation, but I mean, they've both been really good for a really long time,
yeah.
which I think is rare in a rivalry in college football.
100%. 100%. But yeah, that's a really good point, Noah. Going back to the LSU Alabama rivalry, that was just fueled by Nick Saban and the path that his career took. And then I think it made it, I think it truly cemented it as a true rivalry when they were the first SEC National Championship in 2011. I think that was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I'm trying to find the overall record right now.
It's got to be close.
It's got to be close, right?
You'd
Come on.
think. I mean, Alabama's been on a run. Well, not even. I mean, LSU won year before last, right?
They won in double overtime, I believe.
Yeah, they went for two.
They went for two, which is the
Lost
smart
to Georgia
choice,
in the
by
SEC
the way.
championship.
Let's see. In Louisiana, the series is 30-10-2 in favor of Alabama. And then in Alabama, the series is, 15-8, because you got to add up Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Mobile, and Montgomery for some reason. 15-8, that's 23, 25,
Big math guy.
27.
Almost like he does it for a living.
Shut up. 27-16. So, I mean, yeah, Alabama definitely has the lead. The overall lead. Alabama leads the series 56-27-5.
Okay, that's a little less close than I thought.
However, you got to take into account. I mean, Alabama won every meeting from 1971 to 1981.
I was gonna say, what about this century?
This century.
I mean, I think it'd be a little closer. I think
Let's see.
we're working off recency bias here.
Since 2000, LSU has won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of those games. So by that math,
Yeah, that's pretty even.
that's 11 out of 23,
Yeah,
which is pretty damn even.
So
Yep.
recently,
Yeah. It is funny though that LSU was definitely better when Nick Saban was there, and Alabama was definitely better when Nick Saban was there. I think there's a common denominator here. But anyway, yes, that's a good color scheme matchup. That's a good SEC West matchup. That's just a good matchup for college football in general. And those two really do hate each other because historically, at least this century, that game has been for the driver's seat in the SEC West. I think it'll be really interesting to see how those rivalry games work out with the absence of divisions.
yeah,
Because, I mean, I guess now every game matters because you're not fighting for the driver's seat in the division. You're fighting for,
Seating in the
driver's
conference.
seat in the
Overall,
conference.
right.
Yeah. So any SEC game that you lose at this point could be your downfall.
Very true.
Because like the ACC last year, if UNC hadn't slipped up, I think we had like a three-way race for the ACC championship between Clemson, Florida State, and UNC. Or no, sorry, it was Louisville and UNC.
Yeah.
They were both undefeated, or them and Florida State, all three of them were undefeated at the same time, and they didn't play each other. So that'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about with like twisting the knife while your opponents are dying?
Nope.
Okay. I guess like in one word, yes or no. Do you think it's good? If you were a head coach, would you twist the knife if you're the big dog at the moment?
Depends on who it's against.
Yeah.
We'll call it.
In Kirby's
Florida.
case, yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
because he played in these games too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
I
a
just-
little
I
more
would-
personal, a little
Yeah.
more understandable.
So
It's just I would hate to poke the bear if I were like,
fuck
if you
we're-
kind of weren't favored in the game and you're
you-
coming
you
in
see-
there and
see me in the forest fighting a grizzly bear. Help the bear. I mean, like Brandon, we're the bear right now. I don't know.
I'm not saying from a Georgia perspective. I'm saying from a general overview perspective. From a Georgia perspective, you can really do whatever you want. I mean, if you're Kirby, you could do
Yeah.
whatever you want.
There's literally, I can count on one hand how many teams in this country scare me, and I think maybe 2 of them are in the SEC right now. The only reason it's Alabama is because of just the history there. We're going to find out, what is it, October? Late September? That was
Something like that.
Something like that?
I think September 28th. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a
And then
guess.
Texas kind of scares me. Ohio State scares me. I mean, we were literally a missed field goal away from losing to them. But anyway, we can get into that later. Appreciate you boys talking about this. This is just one of those kind of random topics that popped into my head during a college football off season. This was good to hash out. I really do appreciate it. Speaking of appreciation, back out to the audience, we appreciate you guys. The growth lately, like I said, has been great. If if you're one of these teams who's on the receiving end of a rivalry right now, how do you feel about this? Like, I know it hurts now, but won't it feel so much better when eventually the tide shifts and you're back on top and you can say, you know what, screw you guys, we're gonna hang half 100 on you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Personally, I think that's very, very refreshing. So, anyway, guys, thank y'all for sticking around. Feel free to drop a comment. Let us know your thoughts. Always drop a like, subscribe. It means the world to us. Do appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one, and we will see you next time.